Okay. So, hi, welcome to another version of Three Questions with Mary. Today, actually, I was looking for a YA book to give as a gift, and I was struggling to choose one. So, I thought I would get some input from our resident YA author and my fellow bookseller, Christa Desir.
Hi, Mary.
Hi, Christa.
How are you?
I'm great.
Good.
Great. We both got the memo that
We're
Tuesdays.
supposed to wear, it's
Yep.
blue polka dots.
It is. Every Tuesday, blue polka dots here at Anderson's LaGrange.
I know, we look very fancy.
We do. And you actually have a new book coming out in just a few days, don't you?
I do, in a week. It is called Four Letter Word, and it is essentially about a game, this sort of knuckleheaded game that I played when I was a kid, which was totally dodgy. It's called Gestapo, and the way it works is that it's sort of a girls versus boys game, and the only rule is that you obtain the results by any means necessary. So it's totally a terrible idea on many fronts, and of course, so I wanted to write about it. I also wanted to write about a story which is at its heart, it's about a girl who lives in Iowa and she's losing her best friends. So her best friends have gone and made new friends, and she's doing anything she can to hang on to these girl friendships that she had. And then this new girl comes in town and introduces them to this game, Gestapo. So that's what it's about.
Yeah, I actually read an advanced copy, and
Right.
it very much mirrored my teenage angst and insecurities and all the stupid things that I and my friends did. So I felt that it was very
Indeed.
real.
Yes, I do for sure write for teenagers. Every time I worry about what people think, then I watch my own teenage kids and think, oh yeah, no, I write for teenagers. This is just that feeling. So yeah.
Yes, you do, which is great. We need more of that. And as long as I have you here and you're giving advice, how about if I just ask you 3 questions that other people might be wondering about as well?
All right, hit me.
Excellent.
3 questions.
Fabulous. So the first one, I as a parent never put any restrictions on what my kids read. From the time they could read, anything they put in their hands and wanted to read, I would encourage that, and then just encourage them to ask me questions if they had them. But as a parent and an author, do you feel that at certain ages we should be kind of censoring what our children have access to, or what types of books they should read?
That's a really good question. I feel like it depends on the kid. For my own kids, we live in kind of an urban area, and so my daughter's like freshman year of high school, within the first month, someone had been shot in a drive-by, there was like a very public sexual assault case. There were all these things that were going on, and so it felt like what she was reading was sort of the bottom of the things I was worrying about with her, and I generally feel that way about kids in general. I was probably like many in our generation, was reading Stephen King as a 4th grader, and I managed to sort of self-censor anything that was maybe dodgy or whatever. So I tend to think that it's totally up to a parent. Some parents know their kids and they're like, this is going to give them nightmares, or this is going to be a problem for them, or they're not ready for this, or I'm not ready to have that conversation with them. So I am like you, where I say, have at it, whatever you're interested in, ask me questions, or a lot of times I'll read with my kids, what they're reading. But I have a lot of content in my books, a lot of sexual content. I have a lot of language. And I do know that people have said, like, it's too graphic for our library. And for me, it's one of those things where I feel like that's how you start a conversation. And I'm a real advocate for starting those conversations. So, yeah.
I agree completely. So another question that I have, and I'm sure our young readers do too, what trends do you see in YA publishing right now that have you excited?
Oh, you know what? Okay, so this is what I would say about this year and the last couple of years in YA, which have been to me super cool, especially as a mother of biracial children. My husband's Haitian, and so I'm always been really into the idea of kids learning about different cultures, different stories, things that they wouldn't either have access to or know anything about. And I feel like the YA world has really exploded with not only diverse stories, but really interesting stories, like, about things that maybe you would be interested in, but not know like how to even find that stuff. I just think that we've really had like an explosion of myriad cultures and even sexualities, all sorts of different things where because there's such a vastness with that world now, and there's so many books out there. I think it's given an opportunity for truly like every reader to have a book and to be able to see themselves in those books. So that to me is the most exciting, is that my kids can say, oh, I'm looking for a book about, a Haitian girl, and they could say, oh, here's American Street or whatever, like that kind of thing exists is pretty awesome.
I love that too, and I feel like this the generation right now of YA readers are the ones that are changing everything, because they've blown the lid off of all this stuff and they're embracing it, and I love that. I think this generation coming up is they're going to do some great things.
Fierce and fighting.
Absolutely,
for sure.
Absolutely. And I know that you there's, in our bookstore we have a difference between YA and teen interest. Teen interest being a little heavier material. And I know that you write about some pretty heavy topics. You don't cover anything in your book.
I for sure write issue books, or what, I don't know, issue books, but books for sure. When I give people my speech, I say I write about survivors in one way or another. So yeah, for sure, that's my.
So with your heavy topics, are those harder for you to work through as an author, or because a lot of your books kind of touch on those anyway, do you find yourself able to get into a groove?
Oh no, I think they're really challenging. I mean, there are some things that are easier about them because they've all touched my life in some way. But because I'm a sexual violence survivor, writing a story about sexual violence was very challenging for me. Less so in the initial writing, but like when I went in to edit it and really had to like re-tap into all of that stuff, that was really challenging for me. And everything that is in my books have either been things that I've gone through or seen, people I'm really close to have gone through. And I think that makes it really challenging because everything feels really personal. And when they're that personal, you also have to be able to separate yourself from what your characters are doing. And one of the reasons I love fiction is because you can have your characters do stupid things and everyone can indict that, and it doesn't feel personal like they're indicting you. So I do like that about fiction, and I think it starts a lot of really great conversations. But for sure, I think it's challenging to sort of dig in and think about that. Or for me, the other side of it is things that I put like my whole heart into, and then, whether it's reading reviews or seeing something where someone was like, oh, I didn't like that girl at all. Or, with my book about sexual violence, someone had said at one point, fun.
Hey,
you got a call.
We're very casual here.
Okay. Anyway, so which is fun. I would say, like, my book about sexual violence, at one point, someone had written something like, oh, I'm tired of drunk girls crying rape. And it like cut me so hard, but mostly because I know so many survivors, and knowing that they would see that made it really challenging. So I guess that's what's hard.
Yeah, that is stuff I hadn't occurred to me on that level. Very interesting. So Christa's here every Tuesday.
I am here every Tuesday because working at Anderson's is one of my most favorite things I do. I have multiple jobs, but this is definitely one of my most favorites.
So today we only asked 3 questions, but if you have more questions and you'd like to ask Christa, or you want to pick up a book and get it personalized, you can do that on Tuesdays or any day. Just come in and we'll leave a note for you. And we have autographed copies of her other books. And as soon as 4-letter word comes out, we'll have those too. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Barry. Thank you.